I did not hear that.
You said a lot of tricky. You realize Mark called this nigga dumb.
I did not hear that.
You said a lot of tricky words. No, I don't. I say regular words that's tricky to you.
Tricky words funny as shit.
That's another thing.
When he said, I'm using words that are tricky to you, it's dumb.
Yes,
But
he did not say
the person
dumb.
on the receipt.
He responded to say you using a tricky word.
Come on,
He said, I'm
Tiff.
not using. No, it's not come on, Tiff.
That is a way to call him
No,
dumb.
I disagree. And this is why Mark made him feel small. Don't try to belittle me because I'm using the word you don't understand. Don't try to give a put down to me because I'm talking about something that might be a bit over your head. So I did not hear Mark call him dumb. I heard Mark saying, no, don't try to say something to me because I'm using a word you don't understand. Use your curiosity and say, Mark, can you better explain your point?
I mean, that's still dumb. Like, whether he said it directly or it was implied. If somebody said back to me, I'm like, I don't know what y'all talk about. And they'd be like, well, you don't know because you slow. That's not calling me dumb.
Y'all do realize Mark called this nigga dumb.
I did.
And we're listen, and I'm talking about all of the people, all of y'all's favorites, right? And I'm speaking as somebody that's been in these rooms and I know how this thing works. And I'm tired of watching people do these things because it's commerce. And I don't agree with you that Charlemagne knows better. I don't think he knows better because I don't think that he has a lot of depth of knowledge as a person because it's easy to forget. You know, there's a scripture about the man that looks at himself in the mirror and walks away and forgets what he looks like. It's easy to do that when your substance isn't.
I think the reason I say I think he knows better is because I've seen him do events with Stacey Abrams. I've seen him do events with Kamala Harris and then get on the radio and act like he's never heard anything they have to say, any position on an issue. Say he doesn't know where they're at. Well, you were with them where they were at. So how can you act like
were the questions prepared? Like, did he come up with the questions? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're saying something. Somebody again that prepares for interviews with people. You know, like I wrote my own script when I was on television. I didn't have someone write a script for me. If you are preparing for something because you are curious and you want to know, then you would knowing something is knowing something.
To be validated in their opinions.
That's not the point. That's not the point, Anderson Cooper. And that it took Charlemagne having to sue Donald Trump because his voice, his image and likeness and words were used in an ad against Kamala Harris to let him know how dangerous it is to sit behind a mic and say dumb stuff every day and not be held accountable because you're popular. That chicken came home to roost. And I'm glad you had to send a cease and desist and sue the Trump administration, but the damage was done because you used your microphone for clicks and giggles when our whole ass democracy is on the line. This is not the time. We can have fun later, right? So you're now on message because you're recognizing that you may be part of the reason why if she loses. Yep. And you sat in that woman's face. So you know whether she's genuine or not. And I'm seeing a lot of people, once they meet her, whether it's D.L. Hughley or Uncle Luke, all these people that had sideways things to say, once they meet her, their tune changes because something moves in their soul because this is not a game. I'm not on these airways for fun and for money and for anything. We are here every day to inform, enlighten, and to get...
I'm on my phone recording, so bear with me. But if you could read that, this issue is that these so-called intellectuals, the black misleadership class, no longer has control and power over the masses. They hate that the podcasters with no degrees have bigger audiences than them, and they hate that podcasters are interviewing politicians over them. They make an intellectual argument to cover up their fake elitism. That's what I said on my gun channel. I don't know who this guy's video is, but it's pretty cool. He covered the whole situation with the Joe Budden market situation in native land and all that. And one of the comments was, "You don't think that's not the flex you think it is?" Well, I never said it was a flex. I just pointed out what the truth, what the facts is. I'll probably do different videos on this topic, but Tiffany, who admitted she's not a intellectual, she was the most bougie one of them all. And then Angela Rye was second. The two men, ironically, Bakari, sellout, little pro-Israel guy, and Booty Bandit and Gillum, they actually gave a lot more nuance to the situation, which was standard. Tiffany's on some, I don't want to hear from these people. I don't want them to talk. I only want to be around smart people. And then using the Joe Budden podcast to be the callous of that illustrates my point. A lot of these people, the Roland Martins, the Karen Hunters, a lot of these so-called intellectuals, the black misleadership class, they do not like the fact that Charlemagne or Joe Budden or Killer Mike or whoever, these people have bigger audiences, greater reach, greater access. They hate the fact that politicians will come directly work with them, come interview with them. Then that's just what it is. And my problem with this whole intellectual versus anti-intellectual work, okay, I could see if you were Kanye who said, I don't read, and you're saying that you're not an intellectual and you don't want to learn, you don't want to grow that way. But none of these people that they're calling anti-intellectual are doing that. Like that's just the assumption that all these far leftists like Olay and friends and all these other people, they've been said from day one, we don't like Mark being up there. Olay, because she knows Mark, was like, nah, he needs to be up there because blah, blah, blah. But she admitted in her recent video that, okay, we put that blah, blah, blah on it. We said Mark's up there to bring forth his liberal leftist ideologies and call out misogyny and call out patriarchy and do all those things that Mark does. But no, Mark is there to get a bag. Like, just keep it a buck. Like most of these far leftists on the internet, the FD signifiers for Harriets, they're there to make money while preaching against capitalism, ironically. Mark has said a lot of things that has put him in situations where he burned a lot of bridges. The man, as intellectual as he is, has been fired for damn near every job he's ever had on TV, or either they went out of business because it wasn't generating the ratings. And the so-called same people like Angela Ryan and the Pod weren't supporting him on the grill, weren't supporting him on Black News Network, they weren't supporting him in his other endeavors, right? That's why he's on the Joe Budden podcast, because he wants money. His daughter needs college paid for. His wife wants things. His Puerto Rican wife, who he calls a Black woman, wants things. And that's why he's up there. No, nothing more, nothing less. The man is a potter. He engages in reality TV. He, as an intellectual, he still does some ratchet shit. He's into the reality TV stuff. He knows how to pot. He brings an element to that show that way that's going to grow the audience that way. I'm saying, not this, I'm bringing all my leftist friends and ideology to come watch it. Because as the chicks admitted on the show, which is something that Flip complains about, when you win Potter of the Month, the chick admitted, I don't even watch the show. I haven't even watched the full show in years, but I still vote for Mark for Potter of the Month. That's kind of the stuff that the people on the show who have a gripe with what Mark doing, that's their issue with him. Mark does do some petty shit. He does do some insults and all that other stuff, insulting people's intelligence and all that other stuff. Sometimes it goes over their head, but he does do it. He's not some innocent victim. I've watched some people say, is this pseudo intellectual or the intellectual versus the anti-intellectual, and they're trying to bully Mark and call him no, they all take shots at each other. Mark just does it more often than not, and sometimes it goes over other people's heads. And Mark, like, how many times are you gonna call somebody dumb in so many different ways before they get mad or upset or feel some type of way? And that's what Flip admitted to saying, yo, I expect Ish and Ice and Joe to do certain jokes and say things to me. I don't expect that to come from Mark. But Mark is potting. Mark is here to get a bag. Mark says he wants more money. All that shit, well, Mark should be up there because he's going to bring... No, Mark is up there for money. Mark is up there practicing capitalism because, again, he's lost a lot of resources and a lot of things. And that whole Angela Rye Native Pod stuff, that was just like dumb. That was the arm piece of the misleadership class. The funny thing is, the same thing that they're saying to Joe Budden in his pod, it's the same exact thing other far leftists say about Charlamagne. Charlamagne and Angela Rye, as Joe calls him, her a Charlamagne, they feel the same way about him. Yet, if you're saying that about Joe, you have to acknowledge that they're saying the same thing about Charlamagne. Because one time Bakari Sellers, who also has a connection with Charlamagne from South Carolina, whatever, he can go up there and sell a shitty book that nobody wants to buy. He won't also criticize Charlamagne publicly because he has a relationship with him, the same way Angela Rye won't. But when he was on Karen Hunter's show, Karen Hunter was trying to do the same thing, calling him dumb, saying he don't read, all this other stuff. Bakari, also being a politician, no, he can't burn that bridge, so he did stick up for him. But I just think this whole situation is hilarious because it's like, I don't have a dog in the fight. I stopped listening really to Joe Budden's pod because of their unlearned behavior on issues and topics, but they still spoke on it. Even though they said all the right things to be liberal and to be voting for the leftists and voting for this way, they say those things that they're supposed to say. But because they don't tap dance hard enough for the Democratic Party, because they didn't have Kamala come up there, because they didn't do extra things, go vote for this person, blah, blah, blah. And they don't, that wasn't enough for them, for the far leftists, for the misleadership class. So they're going to shit on them, even though they do enough, in my opinion, to turn me off from the show. It's not enough for them to support the show or support him. Joe Budden is, I mean, more people listen to Joe Rogan that are black than Joe Rogan. Joe Budden is still up there though, as far as black podcasts. And it's like mind-boggling that you have this elitist mindset. Mark shouldn't be up there with all those dummies, but you don't have anything to offer him to not be up there. Like that's the mind. Like Roland Martin always brags about the Angela Rise and Gianna Caldwell, who's on Fox News. He brags about these people all being on his show first. He does that. I gave them their star. I put them on. That's not the brag, nigga. The brag is being able to say I hired them long term, and they can and I can afford to pay them what they're worth. You can't do that. He even admitted that when Tiffany Cross got fired from MSNBC for saying dumb shit on Charlamagne's show that got canceled. I gotta rub all that in. She got fired for saying dumb shit on his show and got fired on her day off. But Roland Martin responded with the whole, they should be ashamed of themselves for following her. It's the same thing they did when Joan Reed got fired and so much, so on, so forth, so on. But my point is that he admitted there, dude, he can't pay her what she thinks she's worth. He can't pay her what those other networks can. That is the flex, my guy. And Joe Budden, despite me not necessarily agreeing with him as a person, I was a Joe fan of Joe Budden's music. I never liked his personality. I thought he was always a junkie and an idiot and an asshole. Like I feel about that way about him since the beginning of time. I liked his music. That was it. I think he's a piece of shit as a person, but he's also good at what he does. He's good at radio. He was good at Everyday Struggle, and he's obviously good at podcasts. They have the top 5 black podcasts or black target media. But he's still good at what he does, though, and you have to give the person respect. Same with Charlamagne. Don't like him either, but he's still good at what he does, and he also pisses off the left. But again, there's different camps and different groups. Roland Martin, the only thing I'll give him credit for is he's smart enough to know he'll criticize Charlamagne or Joe Budden or whoever if they have somebody up there and he's not tap dancing for the Democrats hard enough. But Roland Martin understands that these people have huge platforms and he'll utilize the platform. He'll go up there to, he won't burn a bridge enough to where he can't go back up there to try to get his audience to be bigger too. That's the only thing I'll say about Roland Martin. But he's the same way. He just is. He'll use that platform where Karen Hunter won't do that. Karen Hunter bitches and cries about people having bigger platforms than her. People going politicians. Oh, they won't come to me because I'm going to hold them. Feel like no, you're irrelevant. And nobody pays for radio. You're on Sirius XM. Nobody wants to pay for that. Like nobody cares about that. Like, nobody cares. You're irrelevant compared to the other people, to your contemporaries. And again, the whole point of this whole so-called intellectual debate is the old niggas, the old political mental leadership class does not like the new voices that have bigger platforms than them. And that's not just the black situation. They don't like the Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or Andrew Schultz. They don't like that. None of these people are getting more access and being taken more serious than them. And the question I have, though, what's the point of saying all this intellectual, anti-intellectual stuff when the so-called intellectuals be wrong, too? The so-called intellectuals will tap dance for Democrats and lie about stuff, too. The same intellectuals that are coming at other people, they said that Joe Biden was fine and everything was good with him, knowing that it wasn't. They lied, too. They lied in that position as well. They put out misinformation as well. Those same intellectuals said things like the economy is fine and people are doing good under Joe Biden when it was not, right? No, they'll acknowledge it's bad now, but it's not no different than it was fucking 8 months ago. It's the same fucked up economy. But because their guy's not in office, they can say it now, but they weren't saying it 8 months ago. They were acting like everything was peachy joy and everything was good. So what's the value of having these so-called intellectuals if they're gonna lie too, if they're gonna mislead too, if they're gonna tap dance for the party too? That's my thoughts on that situation, though. The whole beef. That's what I think it is, though. They do not like that. We just don't like. In the past, it was like a breaking of bread, and everybody spoke to each other. The intellectuals in the same hood as the carpenter, as the teacher, and everybody was able to bounce ideas around each other, and everybody was bringing something to the table. According to Tiffany, she wouldn't have liked that because she don't think certain people should have an opinion. She don't want to hear other people's ideas. because they're not smart enough for her, even though she admitted she's not intellectual, which is hilarious. It's a fucking podcast. They're not talking about, saving the world or curing it of hunger. It's a petty ass podcast that's based off telling about music and ratchet stuff. What do you mean that this is the problem with of anti-intellectual? That's not what the podcast is about. It's not even about that. That's not the whole point of the show. Because Mark is up there, you want to act like that's supposed to be what it's about now? Again, if y'all wanted Mark to succeed and thrive, y'all would have been supporting him when he got fired from Fox News first, when he got fired from CNN, when the Black News Network got shut down, when the numbers on the grill aren't good. Now he's at Al Jazeera right now. Do y'all watch that shit? No, y'all probably don't. Don't shit on somebody where they shouldn't be when you don't have anything to offer them. And that's the biggest problem with the Black community. Everybody got something to say and to condemn and to control what people do without offering shit. All we offer is Twitter fingers and insults. You're a coon, you're a subtle, your Uncle Tom, little dick energy is what Tiffany said about Stephen A. Smith. All you offer is that. No money, no bucks. And y'all wonder why it's so easy for people to coon, because at least the other side actually gives you financial gain for your fuckery. Yeah. All y'all give is just name calling and tweets. That's it. No value in that. And I just think that shit is dumb. But I guess I'll be talking about this and other things with the Stephen A. Smith situation too. But what are your thoughts on that whole anti-intellectual versus intellectual thing? Because again, I'm not seeing anybody that they're accusing of being anti-intellectual as being that. Most of these people acknowledge their level and their ability to do things, and they stop and they invite on intellectuals. Joe brought on Mark to the show. Again, this is a nigga that said men can get pregnant and can have babies. I don't know how that works in your intellectual game, but still, he brought him on. He wants to interview the Michael Eric Dysons. He'll let Roland come on his platform and use it to spew his Democrat talking points, tap dancing rhetoric. They have more of a reverence for the intellectual than you say. So how can you call them anti-intellectual? Charlamagne the same way. He'll invite on people who are better and know more about topics than he does. They do that. They just don't bring you on because you're an asshole and you talk shit about their platform all the time. The Karen Hunters, right? It's funny. That's a different topic, but I was talking about the Bakari Taylor situation because he throws Jason Whitlock and Ice Cube and all that. I got a different video about that topic too, because I think the biggest threat at the end of the day, which is what a lot of these podcasts are heading to, people aren't running to MAGA. People are running to independence on a low. You just assume because they're not voting for you that they're running to MAGA. That's what they're scared of. But in my next video, I'm going to break down like the biggest threat to the Democratic Party isn't a black MAGA or a black Republican. It's black men who are independent. That's what they hate more than anything. They hate a Killer Mike who will work with a Republican for things in his city and campaign for Bernie Sanders. They don't like that more than they don't like the black Republican, because that has more of an illustration of where more people are, particularly black men. Most of us should be independent. Most of us should be able to not throw all our eggs in one basket and say, well, this motherfucker don't support guns, so I'm not voting for him there. But overall, this person locally supports this initiative that's going to help people directly. So I might vote Democrat locally, but I might vote Republican federally. Like, whatever. Like, that nuance, you're not getting that from none of these black women. 100%. Remember, Charlamagne said years ago, I'm an independent. I only vote Democrat because in New York, you cannot vote in the primaries if you register as independent. And Angela Rye told him, no, he's not, right to his face. Like, no, you're not. That is the biggest threat. The emasculation from the Democratic Party that Nina Turner talked about is on display every time. And especially, that's a part of the criticism, the critiques of these podcasts. They don't like it. They don't have the voice. Nobody's watching their shit. More people are watching. You know, it's funny too. It's like they don't have this energy for the ratchet TV. You know, Michelle Obama can admit that she watches that shit, which is anti-intellectual, which is ratchet, which does not paint black women in a perfect light. But then they get mad when people also criticize their beloved Jasmine Crockett, who illustrates and exemplifies that same ratchet behavior. But Michelle Obama, when she says, I watch it, I like it, but yeah, don't criticize that shit, and that shit is really messed up. At least there's a little bit more nuance on these podcasts. And not even to my defense, but these people do reference all you black intellectuals, and they put you in a high regard. That's my video. I'm out.